I'm on the Victron VRM portal for Bernard, our motorhome. And something that I do every year as we head towards winter is I winterise the van, drain it down and what have you, and then I put in an oil-filled radiator, just set on low, just a small one. And I do this just so that when I go in there it doesn't feel cold and damp, and if the temperature or when the temperature falls below zero, there's no danger of any residual water in any of the pipes freezing and what have you. Now, we have a Multiplus-II in the van, and the oil-filled radiator is plugged into that, but because the van is also on hookup, it's just passing the mains straight through. So at this time of year we don't get a lot of solar input, but we do get a bit, and I don't really want to use mains if I can avoid it. So what I want to do is set a solar input priority so that the Multiplus will use the battery capacity, and which is obviously topped up by the solar panel, and it will only switch to mains if and when the charge in the battery falls below a threshold that I'll set. And you can do this using the Victron VEConfigure program, and I'll show you how to do that. And I'm going to do it on Linux. I've got a Windows PC, but I'm going to do it on Linux just because it's interesting and because a lot of people use Linux. So I'll take you through the process. So I'm on Ubuntu 24.04 long-term service release Noble Numbat, and we need to download a couple of files. The first is the VEConfig program, and to do that you search for Victron, find the download directory and download these VE configuration tools. Now, it's a Windows executable, so we're going to need to run that on Linux under Wine. So download that, and the next thing we need is the configuration file for our Multiplus inverter charger. And the easiest way of getting that is to go to the VRM portal for the particular installation, Bernard, go to the device list and scroll down, and there's a button that says Remote VE Configure. Click that and it will query the configuration and find out whether there's anything that can be downloaded. Download the config file. Now, we can do this because we're connected to a Serbo GX, but otherwise you're going to have to do it, I think, via a USB connection direct from the Multiplus. But anyway, these are the two files that we're going to need. And just for my peace of mind, I've moved those into their own directory under the downloads, so it's Victron. Right, back to Linux and a terminal window, and we're going to need to install Wine. So sudo apt install Wine. Now, I've already got Wine installed, so this is just going to say, yeah, you've got it installed. And then but the second thing that I had to do was install something called Python PyAsync core. I'm not quite sure why I had to do that, but and you might not need to, but it's possibly because I had an incomplete install. But anyway, I installed that Python 3-PyAsync core, and once you've done that, then you can launch the installer. So go to the directory where we downloaded those files, and then sudo wine and the name of the setup program. And this is going to launch a very Windowsy looking setup. So say next to that, default directories, yeah, say next to that, and then start it. Say no to that, say OK to this one. Next thing we need to do is say take the port selection from a file, and that will prompt it to ask you for the existing config file. So navigate to where you saved that and open it. Right, now what we're going to set up is a virtual switch. So click on the tab that says virtual switch and select dedicated ignore AC input. And once you've done that, the tabs will change, and in the conditions we can set a high power limit. So if the power goes over 1300 watts for 20 seconds, it will turn the mains on. And that's because we've got a 1600 inverter, and so 1300 gives a bit of a headroom. And then when it drops again below 324 watts, it will turn off the mains. And then I'm setting the state of charge of the AC input to 40% and turning that off when it's finished. And that's basically it. That means that if the state of charge drops below 40%, it will turn the mains on and recharge the battery, but otherwise it will use the battery for any AC output. And then we need to upload that back into the Multiplus. So upload, select the file, find where we put it, and just by closing it we saved it, so that's been updated with our new configuration. Select that and upload it, and that is job done. And there we are, finished. So now the Multiplus has been set, as I say, to use the battery where available, and the battery will be topped up by the solar charge controller if there's any solar input. And if the battery's state of charge drops below that threshold of 40%, it will recharge the battery back up to 100% and keep it there for the absorption period, and then turn the mains off. Or if the AC load goes over the threshold of 1300 watts for more than 20 seconds, it will also turn the mains on. So if I was to plug in a kettle and a hairdryer that, say, put a couple of kilowatts of load onto the Multiplus, it would also turn the mains on and pass that through, rather than just try and take it all from the batteries. So here we are, we're running entirely from battery, no solar input, supplying a load of just under 600 watts, and the battery state of charge has dropped to 40% and should go to 39 any second now, I would think. There we are, 39%. So in a couple of seconds we should see the mains AC input kick in. There it is, 1.4 kilowatts off the mains, supplying both the AC load and charging the battery. So yeah, that all works as expected.